In this final part of the RStudio video series, we're going to continue to see how you can tweak R to meet your needs, to do what you want it to do, to look like you want it to look. And speaking of look like you want it to look, let's look at the appearance options. RStudio has three major themes that you can use: classic, modern, and sky. This is for RStudio as a whole. But what your script window looks like is really what's going to be more apparent. You can set the zoom for that. You can set what font you want to use, how big the font size is. You remember from the view options that you can change this. You can increase and decrease, but this will set the default. And then, perhaps most importantly, you can set the theme. So right now, if you're looking at your RStudio and it's how you installed it, it looks different than mine. Why? Because I've selected a theme. I'm using Tomorrow Night Bright. Now, I'm not even sure if that theme's available to you right now when you look through these themes, because I've added quite a few of them. Where do you add them? Well, you can click on this Add button, but all that's asking you to do is to tell you where the theme is located. I will provide a link for you so that you can go to the site I use, which is this one, in which you can select from literally dozens and dozens of themes. I'm scrolling now and you can see all the different themes that you can use. So if we choose one here, here's one called Berlin. Let's see what it looks like. That's what it looks like. If I want a dark Berlin, there it is. You can even create your own theme. That is, you can go through all these different colors for things that you're going to learn about when we talk about R: keywords, variables, functions, classes, methods. You're going to learn about all those. And you can actually identify them separately with different colors. You can choose your own colors if you want and save your own theme. Now, I never get into the weeds quite that much. What I do is I look over themes to see what might be interesting to me. Here's a Candyland theme. And then when I have found a theme I'm interested in, I click on the download it to a spot on my computer, and then go back over to RStudio, click Add, browse over to that same spot on my computer, and I can add that theme to this list of themes. So if you want to get colorful, hey, I'm all about it. Go for it. The other way we change the appearance with RStudio is the pane layout. And I have mentioned multiple times how my panes are probably in a different position than yours are. And so this is how you change that. So notice you have the 4 quadrants here. Here is where I have my source or script pane. If I want to switch it around so that, say, the console is here and the source is here, I can pick console and then it switches the source to up here. Similarly, I can come down here and say, no, I want the source to be down here, and I can put it there. So what I've just done is chosen where I want each particular element of these 4 panes to be. Then in addition to that, you can change what is on the tabs in that particular pane. So for instance, if I think that I would like my environment over here with the history, I can click environment here, which unchecks it from over here and puts it there. So now when I click apply and then OK, I will go back and I will see things in a different order. Let me go ahead and let's switch a couple things. Let's switch the console to the left side, the source to the right, and we'll put the environment over on the lower left pane right along with history. So I'm going to apply that. And now when I go back and look, you can see here's my environment, here's the history, here's the console, and here's the script. I better go back and change that back around, or I'm going to open this thing up and it's going to take me 10 minutes to figure out what I did. So I'm going to put my source back here, console here, and I'm going to put the environment back over here. And now it was the way that I had it to begin with. So that is how you can change your panes. Again, based upon your work preferences and your workflow, you can make decisions about how to change these panes. The next options we can change are for packages. You know that the CRAN is the primary repository for R, but where you get your packages from depends upon what you have here. I'm getting them right now from RStudio, but if I want to change it, let's say it's a slow download most of the time, I might want to look for something that's closer. Like for instance, here in the USA, I might want to say, well, let's go ahead and get this from the Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where I actually spent a summer when I was in college doing a physics internship because I was a physics major when I was an undergrad. This would then change to that. I'm going to go ahead and change it back because I've had no problem with the RStudio downloads for packages. But you can also add secondary repositories. So you can put in the name and URL if you know what they are. You can know what they are simply by doing a web search. And what that will do is if the first one doesn't work, it will then try the second one. We're going to be using R Markdown and R notebooks, but I will tell you that I actually leave the defaults on these and they work fine for me. So I would recommend you leave the defaults as well so that when you're following me in class, the same thing happens for you that happens for me. The Sweeve is about creating PDF files from R. I'm not going to show you that right now, and in fact, I might only show you how to create PDF files within R if there is large public outcry for me to do so, and then I'll show you. It takes a little bit of work and a little bit of tweaking, and it involves some of what the settings are here. You don't need to worry about this right now because you're not going to need to create PDFs. You're primarily going to be working in R notebooks. It does have spell checking features, and you have some options here of how you check that. And you can add custom dictionaries if you have custom dictionaries available. Git is something we're going to use and learn about, but we're not going to use the RStudio Git. I find it rather cumbersome. We're going to use a different Git system that I will talk about in a video in this learning cycle, but a little bit later on. Publishing is if you want to create things like web apps or documents that you publish to RStudio Connect. The terminal, I showed you the terminal option, and you can have unique settings for that. And then there are some accessibility options that you can set. So as you see, there's a lot that you can do in order to create an RStudio that matches your preferences. Feel free to play around with it. You can always set it back if you need to. I will post not only this video, but also the themes website, as well as some other links like the cheat sheet for RStudio, so that it can help you remember what we've talked about here and go forward having a successful experience not only in this course, but throughout the rest of your professional career using RStudio as a quite fantastic integrated development environment.